Okay, welcome everybody. I'm going to do the roll call now.
Lynn Hurston James,
Hi, Megan Levine.
Ann Markoulis,
Angela Ramo,
Maria Venuto.
Leah Leone,
Maureen Jimenez.
Isabella Basil.
Thank you. Okay, so now we'll move on to the approval of the minutes from the last Board of Education meeting on November 6th. Can I get a motion? Angela and Ann, any discussion on the minutes? No? All in favor of approving the minutes? Okay, that's 7. Committee reports. So tonight we have a presentation by a superintendent search firm that the board will be approving this evening. So we want everybody to be familiar with the firm and the process. So we have them here tonight to speak about that, and they have a slide presentation as well. So if you guys want to go ahead and take the stage and introduce yourself, that would be great. Yeah.
I'll look here, okay. Good evening, members of the board and public. I'm Bob Fryer from District Wise Search Consultants. Well, we're the firm your Board of Education chose to find the next superintendent of schools in Glen Cove. Very big shoes to fill, I know. Just to tell you a little bit about myself, I come from an executive recruiting background. I've been putting technology startups together for north of 30 years. I started the company with Joanne 16 years ago, and we've been doing superintendent search placements in New York, pretty much all over New York. I'm a former board member in the East Williston School District, very committed to diversity in our hires, worked on initiatives like the Women of Color Collaborative, and just so you know, I've been involved in every search since the firm started.
Thank you for having us. And it is our honor, actually, to be here because we placed Maria. We helped place Maria. And so an honor to be back and to help this Board of Education find your next leader. I'm Joanne Kaplan. Should I lower it because I'm so tall? Okay. I'm Joanne Kaplan. I'm a former educator. I taught kindergarten in Roslyn, and then became a PTA person and was the president of every section of the PTA in our school district. Sat on the Board of Ed with Bob and Mark. And when I decided not to run for my second term, Bob said, let's start a company. We didn't like the way superintendents were being hired for schools. We felt that the right fit wasn't necessarily what companies were doing, and so we started our company, and the rest kind of speaks for itself. Thank you for having us.
So I'll just reiterate, good evening, and again, thank you for having us. Truly humbled to be here. So thank you to the Board of Education, and hello to our administrators and our student representative that's in the room. So thank you. My name's Mark Hamburg. I am truly humbled and proud to be of this part of this search firm. I have been on my Board of Education for 17 years. I am the sitting president for the last 16 years, and I was so honored to be asked to join this firm almost 4 years ago because I love what I do for our children, and I love the opportunity that we get to do for children all across the state of New York by finding the best fit superintendent for individual school districts, and that's what we're going to do for Glen Cove. That's a little bit about myself. I mean, I own my own food ingredient business. I get to talk to people all day long and negotiate and sell and communicate. As I shared, I'm on the board. I've been a facilitator in many, many different community forums through NYSBA and other organizations, as well as participating in a variety of DEI town halls. So thank you.
Hillary Grasso is one of our associates, but she helps us with our Westchester searches, and she comes to the table also having been a board member. I think you could see the common theme with the perspective we come with. She is She's an educational attorney, and she does help us from time to time with our searches on Long Island, but mostly the searches up in Westchester. It's me. So why District Wise? Well, we feel that the best candidates aren't necessarily looking for a job. So, of course, we encourage our Board of Education to take out advertisements, but we also feel that going and recruiting is really the way you're going to get the best candidate who might not be looking. And we don't just do that. We do that by meeting with all different pieces of the community, whether it be staff members or residents, so that we can create what we call a profile to help us go out and actively recruit. We come to the table with a school board perspective, as we've all said, that we're either current or former board members. We understand the needs of communities. We understand how it is to sit in the shoes of, walk in the shoes and sit in the seats of Board of Ed members. And as we said, 13 years ago, we did place your last superintendent.
Okay, so continuing along those lines, along the lines of why us? Thank you. Individualized attention. So we're working for Glen Cove. We go out and we do a significant amount of recruiting. Candidates that we show and recruit for Glen Cove, we are not showing to our other clients that we are doing search work for. Every search is unique and different, and we're having a kickoff meeting with the board next week to understand more about what they're looking for and start building a profile. But then we're going to be reaching out to the public. We will be having a community forum where people from the community will be invited to come, and we're going to be doing that both live and on Zoom. So if you can't make it here, you'll be able to tune in. We're going to meet with all the different units in the district and get everyone's input on the search and what type of, what characteristics we should be looking for in the next superintendent of school.
And
Students as well, yes, absolutely. We are with the board the entire duration of the process. We speak to the board multiple times a week. They also get a weekly update from us. The board will have access to our applicant database. They will see all the people that are applying at that time, and they will have continual access to the entire search team. If it's something that's needed down the road, when the board has chosen the candidate, if they want, we have the ability to put in a transition coach for that. We also have a national audience of candidates to reach out to. And then on top of it, we stay and in everything we do, and that we place here, we're giving a full 2-year warranty. So if for any reason whatsoever it should not work out, we fully expect it to, but if it shouldn't, we will do the search again at no cost. Mark?
so,
Sorry, that was me actually.
yeah, it's okay. Good.
All right. As you know, we're not superintendents. A lot of the other search firms are retired superintendents. We're current or sitting or former board members. So we've put together an advisory board that we go to, and they're pretty well-known names out there of sitting and retired superintendents. And we are able to go to them for vetting of background candidates. And we also like to do what we call back-channel reference checking. So chances are someone in that group, if they don't know them directly, they'll know someone who knows them, so we could sort of go to that trusted reference network for them.
So now that we've told you a little bit about us, we like to talk about you. And before we do any search, we always go back to the district's mission statement because we think it's vital. Because as we mentioned a few times throughout our search, this search is truly about finding the best fit for Glen Cove School District. So we like to go back. That's the conversation we start with the board when we start next week. This is the first thing we'll put up on the screen, and we'll really talk about and remind each of ourselves why we do this, why we're here, and of course, what we're looking for. So this is a preliminary timeline. We've shared this with the board in our original presentation. Certainly we'll go through it in a little bit more detail in our first working session, which again will be next week. But the idea behind the search is to truly have the new superintendent of schools appointed by late April, certainly by early May for sure. It is truly an exciting time when that new superintendent gets to get announced. No disrespect for our sitting superintendent, all right? But it's a fun day. We come in and really celebrate. Okay, so up here we have just a handful of some of our past successes over the last year, 2 years or so. Again, the firm's been doing this now for 16, 17 years, so it's impossible to put everybody up there. But certainly we've always recommended to the board when we're going through the interview process that they call any one of our last searches for a recommendation. And we mentioned before in the earlier part of the presentation our guarantee. In all our years of doing this, we have a 99% success rate. We've only had one district that did not find success, and it was actually for reasons outside of our control, if that makes sense. But nonetheless, 99% success rate. We're really very proud of what we do and how we do it for each individual school district. So with that, I think we will take questions from the board.
Any questions? Yes.
Hi. I don't have any questions. I just wanted to thank you for the presentation. I really found when we were looking at different firms, like you guys' approachability is really the reason I wanted you, not just for us. Obviously, this is the most important thing that we'll do as a board. That's what they always tell you. But I wanted to make sure that the community felt comfortable and our teachers felt comfortable in the union, and I really feel that we get that with you guys. So I want to say thank you.
Thank you so much, and we feel the same way. We appreciate it, and we consider it an honor that you chose us. We really do.
It was genuine, again, not a question, but I hope that the people here and those who are watching online, I hope that they get the same, I use the word vibe a lot, sorry, but, and it's more than a vibe. The presentation, the presentation, the way you take care with not just what you do, but making sure that the people you're speaking to understand. And I don't mean just on a cognitive level. That's almost easy to do. But that we understand the nuances to it, and that it's more than just fitting the right peg into the proper shaped hole. And there is a depth that comes across that, taking nothing away from anybody else who applied for the gig, there is a depth that comes across with this company that just simply didn't come across with the other applicants. And that's what we want for our community, for our schools, for our families, for these kids that come through these doors. And that doesn't come along a lot. So we're very happy to have you on board.
Thank you so much.
I'm just wondering if you can stick around a while for our first public comment section,
Sure.
in case anybody here has questions for you.
Sure.
Thanks very much for your presentation. Thank you. Okay, so next is our committee reports, or we just did it because it was just that one. Okay, so now we're on to the superintendent's report. Go ahead.
All right, I'd like to open the superintendent's report with some information that I received and then go on to our first presentation. So first I'd like to talk about regionalization. I know many people have heard the term. Some have heard the questions or the comments that are coming from different perspectives, and I wanted to be able to comment further about it. Although there's been a number of webinars to ensure that everyone has the correct information from the New York State Education Department, there have been emails and information circulating that's causing confusion as to school districts and what is being quoted as local control. Regionalization, again, is an initiative that is asking school districts to complete a survey, and then next steps would be to meet with our district superintendents, and by that I mean the local BOCES, to look and see if there are opportunities to share services or information in a way that perhaps may enhance opportunities for some students and also help to share costs. Now, this is a statewide initiative, and so part of that comes from a number of years where there's been a teacher shortage in certain parts of the state. There have been teacher shortages in certain certification areas, and there have been conversations about classes and opportunities that could not be provided to certain students in the state of New York because of very low enrollment, and I'm talking only 100 children or 200 children in a particular school district, the inopportunity to be able to run certain courses, and some students graduating high school may not have been given the opportunities that others have. Based on this information, the State Ed Department is asking to look and to determine if there are ways to perhaps enhance the ability for those students to be involved in certain opportunities. Wide open as far as the categories in which districts may share information. What is understood in the mandate or in the regulation is that there is no mandate to share services. There is no mandate to merge districts. There is no mandate to take away any district control, local school district control of the services that they provide or how they provide these services. So again, depending on the interpretation, there has been a lot of misinformation out there. I have been on Zoom meetings and presentations with representatives of the New York State Education Department, Jeff Mattson, Commissioner of Education Betty Rosa, as well as David Frank, and they have presented both on webinars, in Zoom meetings through the different organizations I am a part of, and they are adamant that this is gathering data and not mandating any shared services between districts that they don't want to share, if any. I'll be in Albany tomorrow and Friday, and we will be meeting with the state education officials as I sit on the executive committee of the New York State Council for School Superintendents. I'm sure I will be bringing back updates and additional information as I go through these meetings. I've also been asked, next topic is that I've also been asked to work with a select group of school and school board officials as well as school superintendents to put together some information that will be presented to the State Education Department and to legislators in mid-December as a cost-saving recommendations to mandates we already have. Procedures and unfunded mandates that have been given to us in the past that we must follow and are not accompanied by any financial relief to districts. And so I will be working with a small group of administrators on Long Island and, again, school board officials to be putting this information to the state education. This will be presented to the State Education Department as well as to legislators. So I will be back to update the Board of Ed in regard to that. We look forward to December 1st. What's December 1st? If you're a school superintendent fighting for financial aid and for foundation aid for the, I don't even know how many years I've been doing this. That is the date in which the Rockefeller Institute is set to release its report on their findings in regard to the foundation aid formula. We anticipate it containing recommendations for a new formula which should benefit districts like Glen Cove. We have endured such issues for many, many years, receiving only 44% of the foundation aid allotted to us for many years prior. Now, even now, when foundation aid is said to be provided at 100%, we have all agreed it is a flawed formula, it is outdated and based on outdated information, and a new formula must be found. So I look forward to that report, and I will share my findings and next steps in regard to that. So here's a bit of good news that I know will be very, very important for many students in the Glen Cove schools in particular. We as administrators are always looking for opportunities to enhance student services and students postgraduate. I was at a presentation today by representatives, from Nassau Community College. They instituted several new opportunities that would allow high school students, for example, to be enrolled in college coursework, not just dual enrollment opportunities, but offer a senior year program. That can result in obtaining an associate's degree by the end of the first year for our students. We will be meeting with the dean at Nassau Community College shortly so that we can best determine how these opportunities can be shared with our students and enhance their experiences. Nassau Community College has been the #1 college students in Nassau County actually attend. Two-year college, it is a cost savings, but it also helps to enhance their opportunities to go on to a four-year college that perhaps they might not have had the opportunity to do when they were seniors in high school. But here's the next piece. The newest venture as far as Nassau Community College is that it will be partnering with New York University Langone Hospital. The hospital will be building a satellite program on Nassau Community College's campus, and their partnership will allow for internship programs not only in the health field, but business, journalism, and other areas. Now, my board is hearing this for the first time, and I apologize because literally I was receiving that information late this morning, okay? Here's the next best part of this. There's all good news. What is truly good news is that in the spring of 2025, which is only, 6 weeks away? Okay, maybe 2 months away. Nassau Community College will be offering 3 price options for their students. If the district is a designated CEP school, community eligibility provision, that CEP district, then all the students in that district that qualify for free and reduced lunch will be able to attend the college for free. That means no tuition. If the student lives in a CEP district but does not qualify for free and reduced lunch, but lives in the district, they would get a reduction of 50% on their tuition. How wonderful is that? And then there are all other students that would pay $221 per credit. We are a CEP district. We provide free lunch and breakfast, and we have met the quota for that entire district and to be able to do that. So Nassau Community College for our students will either be fully free of charge or will be 50% tuition. Now think about it, it's not just an associate's degree that they may be working towards. They may be working towards such career options as culinary certifications and so many others as well. I spoke with our assistant superintendent for curriculum and instruction because it was a superintendent's meeting that we had. We were not aware that they were going to present this information. I got their contact information, and Alexa and I will be sitting with the dean. We'll be making an appointment just to see exactly what opportunities we'll be able to provide, and then obviously make sure that our guidance department is fully aware of it. Okay, so that's part one of the superintendent's report. I did not want to take any, waste any time in sharing this information, so I apologize to my board that would usually have gotten this earlier, but literally it was this morning at 9 o'clock.
Quick
Do you have a question?
Would that include students that took a gap year or a gap time in between graduation and going to
Yeah.
college? And would that include?
Yeah, that's one of the questions we're going to have to ask.
Okay.
So if they graduate this year and don't start college till the year after next, or Nassau Community for any kind of career offering, those were one of the questions that we weren't able to get into in the presentation. They had to leave the meeting, but those are the kinds of questions we'll ask.
And also, would that include a student who, gap year or no gap year, had already enrolled and taken credits and plan on continuing to attend Nassau? Would that include them as well?
As soon as we meet with them, and, we're both very enthusiastic about seeing what can be provided, then we will be able to present that information to you. Okay? But again, I was so excited to hear what was in store, and that we are one of the districts where that provision would come into play. Okay? All right, so now I'm going to hand it off. Any other questions? I'm sorry. No. Yeah?
Well, I don't think you're going to know this yet because you haven't had a meeting with them. But
Ask
is
the
it,
questions,
but
so
is
we'll
it
know to put it on there.
any program that they provide, any coursework,
According
like
to them,
nursing, like
yes.
anything?
Yes.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Can I just also mention that this is tied to that paper that is sent out at the beginning of every year? And that's, I can't ever remember what it's called.
Yeah, it is a document that we have everybody in the district. We try to collect as many of them as possible. We don't get 100% back, but close enough. Actually, Island Harvest helps us to collect this from district residents. It's whether or not you even qualify. We collect these documents and then are able to determine if we could continue with the program that allows us to serve free lunch and breakfast to all students, okay? So it qualifies the district because we're over a certain threshold for free and reduced lunch counts. So that's a very important piece and actually benefit all families, all students in the district, okay? And we will be pushing to collect those documents again next year. All right? Okay. And that being said, I am ready to ask for Alexa Doshner, our Dr. Alexa Doshner, to present the new course offerings and some district information. Alexa?
Thank you, Dr. Rihanna. Thank you, Mr. Zamet. Thank you to the Board of Education for having me tonight to present on our new course proposals. This is always an exciting evening when I get to share with you the new courses that have been put forward by our teachers, usually at the secondary level, and they are put forward to the curriculum committee that I lead, and that committee is made up of stakeholders such as parents, teachers, administrators who will volunteer their time. They work together to look through the course proposals that are put forward. They choose the ones that they would like to move forward. Those go to the superintendent. The superintendent then makes a recommendation, and I'm here tonight to present on those courses. So before we dive in, I actually have something else that Dr. Rihanna alluded to, and I'd like to present on our student growth scores that we receive from New York State. So every single year, New York State sends us state growth report. And we look at this report because New York State recognizes that if we only use one test score to measure student learning, we're not doing right by students. We're not going to get a full picture. As educators, we know that better than anyone, that test scores are not going to paint a full picture. And so what they're looking at is comparing student scores one grade, 1 year, to the year before. And they're not just looking at that specific student, but looking at students that fit the similar characteristics that New York State assigns to that student. So I'd like to take a few minutes to go through this to really understand these reports. You have to be a statistician because it takes a lot of mathematics and statistics to figure out how they calculate growth level index, but I'm hoping that my presentation will shed some light. So today we're going to look at these two students. So here we have Henry right here in the foreground, and we have Anita. And as you can see, both of these students are in the 4th grade. So we will start with Henry. So here's Henry, and here are all the students that took the state assessment with Henry in the 4th grade. So they're all here behind him. This year, Henry scored 300 on the state ELA exam. Some students, as you can see, scored lower than he did. Some students scored higher than he did. We also know that Henry is a student who, according to New York State, comes from an affluent background. And he also happens to have a learning disability. New York State is then able to group all students, and this is a very powerful system that they have, all students that have a similar academic history and also similar characteristics. They group all of these students based on the state score assessments. And now you see that once we do that, these are all the students represented here. So here we have Henry, and then we have all the students that are affluent and all the students that also happen to have a learning disability. And now we can really make a better comparison to how Henry did to students or peers that are similar to him. So now we're going to go to Anita's case. And you see here Anita. Here are all the students that took the state exam in the 4th grade behind her. They're all the same students, right, that took the same exact test. So Henry's in the back there as well. She scored a 300 on the state ELA exam. As you can see, some students scored a little bit lower. Some students scored a little bit higher than she did. According to New York State, Anita is a student who comes from an economically disadvantaged background, and she also happens to be an English language learner. So again, New York State will group students of similar academic history and also similar characteristics. And that's what's shown here. So here's Anita, and behind her are the examples of students who fit both of these, both English language learners and who happen to be students from a disadvantaged economic background. So what New York State wants to capture through student growth scores is how each student is able to grow in a year in comparison to similar students. So you will notice that Anita is not being compared to Henry. Henry is being compared to students that are similar to him. Anita is being compared to students that are similar to her. So even though they scored the same, because they're in different categories according to New York State, they are compared to those students. So now we see this is Anita, right? Here she is. These are the students that all scored similar to her, but are also similar to her in characteristics. And now New York State is going to look at the performance from 1 year to the next, not just a single point exam. And we're only going to compare the change in student performance to the similar students. The reason this is powerful is because we know that the time a student sits for a test, something might go wrong. So we don't want to just look at that score, but we want to see at growth from 1 year to the next. So you can see that her score of 300 is better than 75% of students similar to her. And that gives her a student growth percentile, or SGP, of 75%. And she's giving a thumbs up over here. So now that you understand more about student growth measures, we're going to look at Glen Cove student growth levels. which are calculated by New York State, and they're based on student growth percentiles. So New York State takes all student growth percentiles of students in Glen Cove, divides them up according to the characteristics we went through, academic history, similar characteristics, and then compare students similarly to students from Glen Cove and from the state now that are performing on that state exam and over 2 years. So now we're going to look at Glen Cove student growth levels. So I hope you enjoy the confetti, because we are beyond proud to share with you the incredible growth that our students have shown in 23-24 as compared to 22-23. Again, this report is an official report from New York State, and it's based on our state assessments, grade 4 through 8. So you can see that we are seeing the maximum growth, which is a level of 4, in all students district-wide, grade 4 to 8, in all students in math. We are seeing a level 3, which is the second highest growth level for all students in ELA, for all students that are English language learners, and for all students who are students with disabilities. So I want that to really sink in, and that's why I added the confetti, because it really is cause for celebration. Each year that I have been in my current role, I have had to write a letter to the state making an appeal not to be placed on a target list. Each year, the state has accepted my appeal, and we have not been placed on a target list, which is very good news. However, this year, I do not have to write a letter of appeal because we are showing between 22-23 and 23-24 maximum growth. So the incredible growth that you see here in this graph is a testament to the hard work of our students, our teachers, our staff, and our administrators. We know that this could not be possible if we were not working together in the service of our students, and I wanted to thank the district staff for their unwavering dedication toward our student success. So let's take a moment and give everyone a hand. Thank you. So here you've seen this slide from me before. Before I transition to the new courses, just another reminder that our state assessment participation rate should be at 95%. We have been raising it year to year. We're now at 86% at 3 to 5, and we've gone up to 49% at grade 6 to 8. And we understand that the growth is based on the instructional changes, which is what we are teaching, the pedagogical changes, which is how we are teaching, and also the higher participation rate of our students, because now we have a more accurate representation of student performance in our district. So just wanted to remind everyone about that as well, and just how important it is to participate in the state assessments. All right, so now we are moving on to our new courses, shifting gears. So this first course is from the science department. I'm not going to say I have a favorite. But horticulture and hydroponics is a science course. It is recommended by a teacher in the science department, and it is a course that is meant to teach students about sustainable food production. Hydroponics is when you grow plants without soil, so you use support systems and you immerse the roots of the plants in water, and then you add a mineral solution to help the plants grow. So we wanted to show students this new way of growing food. We want to help students learn how to design, build, and maintain hydroponic systems. We are hoping that this will help them gain an understanding of plant biology. It will be a lot of hands-on project-based learning, which we know is the shift that New York State is making in terms of having more real-world applications and project-based opportunities for our students. This course is a high school half-credit, half-year course, and like I said, it's part of the science department, and it will be housed in one of our laboratories. Moving on to our English department, this next course is Beyond Borders, Exploring Hispanic Literature. It will provide students an in-depth exploration of Hispanic literature on the diverse voices and experiences of the Hispanic community. It will explore a variety of genres, not only novels, poetry, There will be discussions, analytical writing, and students will develop a greater understanding of the significance of Hispanic literature. Students will be able to analyze and interpret key themes. They will understand the historical, cultural, and social context of the works. They will engage in discussions, as I said before, and understand migration, identity, and social justice, among other themes. They will create original literary and artistic works, and they will reflect on personal connections, text to self connections. This will also be a half a high school credit and half a year course. The next course from the English department is Scripted Journeys, Playwriting Essentials. This course is designed to introduce high school students to the fundamentals of screenwriting and playwriting, since they are very different from general genre writing of essays or novels. There's very specific things that are addressed here. This will foster their creativity and storytelling skills for both writing for the screen and the stage. Students will be able to understand the medium of playwriting. They will have story development and teach students how to brainstorm, outline, and develop compelling stories. They will be able to format and structure their stories from having a beginning, a middle, and an end. They will have an opportunity to workshop and edit and participate in the writing process. And finally, they will have a final project that they will have a one-act play by the end of the course that they can share. This, once again, will be a half-a-year, half-credit high school course. Moving on to the math department. We have AP Computer Science A. This will be a course that provides students with the knowledge skills to prepare them not only for college-level coursework, but also for careers in technology and engineering. This course can be offered as a pathway for students who have already completed. We offer AP Computer Science Principles, so it can be like a second-level course for them. Students will cultivate their understanding of coding through analyzing, writing, and testing code as they explore concepts like modularity, variables, and control structures. This is a one-credit course, and it's a full-year course. And of course, it has to be aligned with the AP College Board curriculum, and all of that has to be submitted to College Board. Moving on to our Fine and Performing Arts department, we have Guitar Performance and Technique. This is a new course and a new music elective. At the moment, we only have Music in the Digital Age as a music elective, not as one of the foundational music courses that students take. So this will offer an additional elective. It will be aligned with the individual arts assessment pathway for music. And students will then get to use and learn a different instrument, not an instrument that is currently part of orchestra or band. The course will provide instruction for all students interested in playing and or continuing their guitar studies. It will be a dual enrollment course pending with Five Towns, just as many of our fine art courses are, and it will be a one-credit fall and spring semester course. And finally, we have a second course. This is also in Fine and Performing Arts, but it's in the media track. If you think of our individual arts assessment pathway, this course would be an opportunity for students to expand on their media courses. It will be a pathway to career opportunities in audio production, and it will allow students to tell a story or report on such things as happenings at the high school. Here are actual links from some students that would really like to be a part of this. That's why you see the name Ben Renner down here. And the course objectives are through the experimentation and collaboration with students. They want to bring stories to life in the podcast genre. And this is also dual enrollment pending with Five Towns. Once again, once the courses are approved, then we submit to Five Towns. They vet the curriculum. They make sure that the teachers' transcripts are aligned as well, and then it becomes a dual enrollment course. It is a half a credit, half-year course. And that is the end of our new courses for the 25-26 school year. Thank you.
Questions from the board?
Can I take scripted journeys?
Is it open to board members? Good question.
Ann?
Yes.
Dr. Dashna, I just want to thank you very much for these scores. This is commendable, and a
We're
round
very
of applause
proud.
is truly not enough. So I really cannot thank you enough, and to our entire staff for everything that they do for our students. So I really, truly appreciate it.
Thank you.
In regards to the courses that are being offered, do any of the students have to have prerequisites in order to be enrolled in any of these classes?
The only one that I could think of would be the computer science course, but if you see the way it was written, it's maybe taken as a pathway. Now, it would be suggested to have AP computer principles before AP computer, but it's not a necessary prerequisite.
Okay, all right, thank you
And then
very
the
much.
other ones, if they are part of like the IAP, remember, we need to have like level 1 in your first year, level 2, but the ones here seem more as elective, so those are
Got
like
it.
the ones in the year 4.
Okay, thank you very much.
Sure.
And Alexa, would they not have in the course catalog that the students would choose from, that any prerequisite information would be added to the course description?
Yes, that's where you find it. Mhm.
Yep.
Yes.
I just want to echo what Ann said, to just thank all the teachers, staff, administration who've had a hand in that amazing data and that New York State report, and partnering with families and parents, which I know can be a challenge at times as well. And it's just, everyone is owed a congratulations. That's amazing. And it's it's like so uplifting as, we continue on in the school year and for things to come. So I also wanted to just ask, so the playwriting class and screenwriting
Yes.
class, is that part of the arts pathway or no?
No, so it's part of the English department, but I did put in here, because I figured that might be a question, so I anticipated.
Sorry, I didn't
No,
read the
no,
whole
I'm glad
thing.
you're asking. So I put in here that we do have, hold on a second. We do have a course, because you probably remember from, I think, a year ago or 2 years ago, we have college playwriting and advanced musical theater performance.
Oh, yes,
That
okay.
is a fine arts course in the
Okay.
theater track.
I
So
see.
that course is a dual enrollment course. It helps students learn musical theater, write a play to be put on for our elementary students.
right.
That course is in its first year this year. It's a little bit different because it's just musical theater writing, playwriting. But it is similar, so you're right. There
Yeah.
is a similar course, but that is just musical theater. And at the end, the class puts together a musical that then the hope is to go down to the elementary schools and to put it on for them.
Thank you.
I do want to, on a more kind of a serious note, scripted journeys really does look interesting to me, but on a more serious note, you all know my kids, and my kids are always singing and acting and this and that and the other. But we've had this discussion, Glen Cove, kind of as a community, and of course our school is very much performing arts, but we have been seeing that as singing and music and acting and among our little creative tribe here in my household. We have had the discussion that the students who have that writing thing and that less stage-oriented kind of talent, they don't really get to, they don't have the same opportunities as the singers and the actors and so forth and so on. So I am really happy to see that, because it's like I want to joke and say, so you heard us thinking and talking at my house about this, but it's so, it is so lovely to see, because I think writers, whether they're looking at writing the great American novel, or whether they're looking at writing a play, or whether they're looking at whatever the storytelling is, I think because it's more cerebral and because it feels a little bit less right in your face.
Right, less vulnerable.
Yeah, we tend to we see it in a different light. But it's just as consuming. It's just as
And just as
that
creative.
person who gets up on
Yes.
the stage and sings their heart out, or takes a role to another level. And it's so nice. I'm so glad
Thank
that our
you.
students are going to get a chance to kind of
We
take
really
that
appreciate
to
the
another-
feedback.
Yeah. Thank you for
Thank
that.
you.
Thank you, Alexa.
Of course.
Thank you for reporting on all of that. And I, also as a sciencey person, I was excited about the hydroponics. And I hope that perhaps it's something that could lead into a garden in our large high school property. And I think having some kind of hydroponic garden might be something that we should consider with our
That
in the
is like the
future.
ideal and where we want to
Yeah.
go. So one district that we've seen that I shared with our science coordinator is Wantage. They had a very vibrant program for hydroponics. So when the teacher presented this course, I sent her all this information because it would be where we would want to end up because it would provide food for the cafeteria. So it's definitely something that we're thinking. We're excited. Thank you.
Thank you. I really appreciated that presentation, especially the way you presented the data.
Oh, of course.
Like you told a story.
Yes.
So thanks for sharing that. And I also want to say I'm really excited about all these courses. They look phenomenal, and I'm looking forward to approving them. So thank you
Thank
for that
you.
as well.
Appreciate that. And we did see a glimpse of the scores when I first presented earlier this fall, but now to actually see the growth manifested is really something else. So I appreciate the opportunity.
Okay. So let's see. We're moving on to the student board member report.
Isabel.
Hello, everyone. I would like to begin by congratulating our boys football team for their remarkable achievement in making it to the semifinals of the playoffs at Hofstra University. While they were unable to secure a win, we are still incredibly proud of all they've accomplished. In another exciting event, Shy Roberts returned to school last Friday after her successful appearance on The Voice, and thanks to the efforts of Mr. Hudson, Mr. Norris, and Mr. Nadell, a special pep rally was organized in her honor to celebrate her incredible accomplishment. The rally was a reminder to Shy of how she continues to inspire and make our school community proud. Additionally, 2 Fridays ago, the school hosted a Veterans Symposium organized by Rho Kappa. The event offered students a chance to learn more about the experiences and sacrifices of our veterans, providing a meaningful appreciation for Veterans Day. Senior class merchandise and yearbooks are also on sale now, which is exciting. And I know I've mentioned it multiple times, but last Thursday, the senior class volleyball fundraiser was very successful and everyone had a good time. And I would just like to report that while every game was very close and fair, it was won by my very own team. And because of its success, we plan to do similar events in the future. Lastly, in preparation for the upcoming high school play, Almost Maine, students had the chance to watch a preview of the performance throughout the day. This allowed everyone a sneak peek into all of that has gone into bringing the play to life, and we are all eagerly anticipating the full performance this weekend. Thank you.
Thank you. As always, if you want to go and do homework, you can, or you can hang out. Thanks for your report. Okay, so now we're going to move on to public participation on any agenda items. If you have anything to ask or any comments to make, please come forward and sign in with your name and address to Ida, our clerk. You can have 3 minutes to speak to the board. Go ahead.
Janet Blatt, Grady Street, Glen Cove. 12 years ago or 11 years ago, I spoke at a board meeting that was held at the middle school about hydroponics. And the only interest that I got from anybody who was there was the middle school principal. But it didn't go anyplace. I then worked up suggestions for classes that included horticulture, hydroponics, and other horticultural things, and a number of other courses. And I gave that to the superintendent, and I gave it to the superintendent again, and I gave it to the superintendent again, and one of those times last year or the year before. I don't know if it stayed in her office or it went elsewhere, but I do know that until tonight, there has been nothing from that and from what I spoke at the board. I'm delighted that a teacher in the high school wanted to have this horticulture and hydroponics course, and I hope it leads to a whole lot more, not only in that area, but in other things that are somewhat related or not related. I would like to know from the search committee for the superintendent when you plan to meet with the public and how that relates to when you start interviewing people for the job.
So we haven't met with the Board of Education yet to really lay out. What we will do is we will speak with the board. We'll come up with a calendar of events of how we're going to do it. I'll probably be speaking with the district clerk to look at calendars to see when union people are free, when there's going to be an open space for community members. We'll send out invitations. There'll be emails. It'll be posted on the website. So that date has not been decided yet, but I can tell you that any possible way we can reach out to let anybody know that as a community member, we will take that action. As far as interviewing, every candidate has the opportunity to apply for the position. We then, as a company, screen the candidates to make sure they meet the criteria in the profile. So we'll put that together with the board. We'll put that together with all the different constituents that we meet with, and we'll create a profile. And then we'll screen candidates. They have to create videos. We ask them questions that are not necessarily standard questions, but questions that are derived from the different meetings that we met with. And then we create a slate and bring it to the Board of Education. So we're guesstimating March, April for that. So community meetings, February-ish, probably after the break. But don't hold me to that date, but that's around what I would say would probably be, right?
One question about procedure.
Yes.
Does one of you interview or you interview as a group?
We do it all together. We do it all together.
Thank you.
Good evening. I just wanted to publicly, Allison Fletcher, GCTA President. Sorry. Pearsall Avenue, Glen Cove, New York. I do have a question for you, but I just want to make a couple of comments. I'd like to publicly congratulate Dr. Rihanna on her retirement, her upcoming retirement.
Thank you.
I've been in the district 22 years. I've worked under 7 superintendents, Dr. Rihanna being the longest sitting superintendent. And when I took this job as president of the GCTA, she first asked me if I was crazy. And she said, "Are you sure you want to do this?" I said, "Absolutely." But I think together we have accomplished a lot. And I thank you for that. And it's unusual when I speak to my other peers as presidents of other locals. It's unusual that you have a good working relationship, because in many districts they don't have a good working relationship. And I'm happy that we have accomplished what we have accomplished. Not saying that we haven't seen eye to eye on certain things, because certainly we have not seen eye to eye, but I will say that in our process, there's never been an ill word spoken to one another, and I appreciate that. I'd also like to extend our congratulations to Victoria Galante. She's always been very gracious, and I've asked her time and time again to explain school budgets to me, and she has been very good and very patient with me, so, and any types of questions that I've had. And thank you to Dr. Doshner for sharing the information tonight. I'm sure the teachers will be very happy to hear that they're very hard work, and they have put in a lot of hard work to get our students where they are. And I'm very grateful that you shared that information, and our teachers are aware of that. So thank you. So my question to you, so I represent a union of about 320 members. So I just would like to know a little bit about the process of how we're involved in it. Is it something that's done with me alone? Is it with a committee? Because I'd like to bring that back to our membership, because we've had many questions about it. Thank you.
So thank you for that question, and that question goes actually for all types of community groups. So as Ms. Kaplan mentioned, when we meet with the board, we work on behalf of the board, so we follow the board's direction, but typically we make suggestions as to the types of groups that we recommend we meet with. Teachers Association is certainly one of those groups, so as Joanne mentioned, we will send out an invite. The invite goes to you as the TA president, but the invite is at your discretion if it's going to be open to your entire membership or just you as the representative or your cabinet. We typically like to recommend you open it up to your entire membership. It will be via Zoom, so it makes it relatively easy for everyone to participate. It's an exchange. It's as long as it takes. And I'm comfortable saying that your group, as well as every association, as well as the community at large, will be very engaged and appreciate the time, because that's really the opportunity to share what you're looking for in your next superintendent. Really, all of that conversation that we collect, of course, goes into the climate report that we share with the board, but really we take that information to create the criteria in this next superintendent, and we use much of what we collect to create those sets of questions when we go on the interview. So every piece of this data is important from every aspect of this community, and that's why we make a strong effort to meet with everybody. We'll have an email address set up for people that aren't able to attend that can submit, and then there's some other things we'll go over with the board that are some options as well.
Thank you. Does anybody else have questions or comments? Okay, we'll move on then. Instructional report. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Based on the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, I ask the Board of Education to approve Agenda Item 7 on the instructional report, A, Committee on Special Education, B, Committee on Preschool Special Education, and C, new course proposals.
Can I get a motion? Leah and Maureen, any questions or discussion? All in favor? Okay, that's 7. Business affairs.
Upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, a motion is requested for the approval of Agenda Item 8, Business Affairs A, Finance 1 and 2.
Motion. Ann and Megan, any discussion? All in favor? Okay, that's 7.
Upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, a motion is requested for the approval of Agenda Item 8, Business Affairs B, Operations 1 through 9.
Motion. Angela and Ann, any questions on these? All in favor? Okay, 7.
Do you want to say?
Yeah, I would like to thank the Booster Club for their generous donation for the softball, or what is it? Softball, the scoreboard for the softball, yeah. I really appreciate the work that the Booster Club does. They are a group of very hardworking parents who volunteer a lot of time to support our athletes and give them what they need to be successful. So thank you very much for that. I also want to mention that we just approved field trips to Washington, D.C., which is very exciting, an overnight trip for middle schoolers, and a day trip to Kent, Connecticut, also for the middle schoolers. So that's all good stuff, and thank you. Personnel.
Upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, I ask the Board of Education to approve Agenda Item 9A certified, 1 through 8.
Motion, Angela and Megan. Questions? All in favor? That's 7, okay.
Upon the Superintendent of Schools, I ask the Board of Education to approve Agenda Item 9B classified, 1 through 3.
Motion. Maureen and Leah, any questions on those? All in favor? 7. Okay.
Based upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, I ask the Board of Education to approve Agenda Item 9B classified, 4 to 5 as amended.
Okay. Motion. Lynn and Megan. Any discussion? All in favor? 7. Okay.
I just want to take a moment because what was just approved in the classified section is the retirement of head custodian Albert Plood at Gribben Elementary School. So we just want to wish him congratulations and thank him for all of his hard work and dedication to the district. So thank you.
Yeah, thanks very much.
So I have to comment on that because I was at Gribben yesterday and happened to see him working hard as he always does. And I said to him, I thought you were going to join me, retiring at the end of the school year. He is so excited. He is closing on a new house next week in Florida. And I said to him, we can't be happier for you because of all the hard work and dedication he has put into this year. He was thrilled himself. So I told him I won't feel bad that I'm going alone. But he is so excited. So I just wanted to congratulate him personally.
Okay. So now, let's see, we have no unfinished business, new business. Any board comments? You guys want to?
This week, I was able to join the Sergeant Major Dan Daly Historical Institute Advisory Board. It's like a little bit of a mouthful, but it's chaired by our social studies coordinator, Susan Poulos, who's here. And I was just really happy to learn about all the civic engagement programming that's happening with our students in partnership with the Veterans Council of Glen Cove. The Holocaust Museum was at the meeting board as well, so talking about those programs. And it's just a great variety of programs that are in place, including what Isabel mentioned with the Veterans Symposium. And so as the year progresses, I'm looking forward to hearing more about it. And I just wanted to thank Mrs. Poulos and the individuals and organizations involved in the board. It was a great discussion.
Thank you, Megan, for giving additional time to board work, but more to the students and the community. And Susan, thank you for all the different activities you're working with our students to enhance their activities and opportunities in the district.
I just want to give an extra plug and shout out. I know Isabel mentioned it, but there is a production called what? Almost Maine. Almost. Thanks. You anticipated mine. Okay, thank you. And I always, it's going to be presented Friday night and Saturday night, and we always like to get a nice crowd in here for the kids who work so hard to put these productions on. So we'd appreciate seeing you if you can make it. Does anybody have anything else they want to share? No? Okay. So we'll move on to public participation. If anybody has questions or comments on non-agenda items, come on up. Share your name and address.
Janet Blatt, McGrady Street, Glen Cove. Last week, I had a very interesting conversation for about 15, 20 minutes with a lawyer for the New York State Department of State Office of Open Meeting Regulations. And among other things, which reiterated what I know what I have been told consistently for years that can be discussed at executive sessions. She also told me, I guess I heard it once many years ago, that because executive sessions are supposed to flow from a motion at a public meeting, whether or not the public is there, represented or not, there are supposed to be minutes from that very brief public meeting that specifically, without names if you're dealing with personnel, but otherwise more specific than just saying that you're going to discuss, going into executive session to discuss personnel. And that those minutes from that public session that would last no more than a minute or two, a motion, a vote, and you go into executive session. And then at the end of the executive session, you have a motion to leave executive session. But that public session is supposed to generate minutes, which I have never been able to find. Years ago I asked, and then I stopped asking. I checked online today to try to find something on the Board of Education page and didn't find anything. So I'm asking you, do those minutes exist? And if they exist, because the lawyer told me that anyone could ask for them, and because they would be very brief, we didn't have to wait for them to be approved at the next meeting, that they would be available, should be available right away. So I'm asking you, do those minutes exist? If so, are they online? And if online, where online I could find them? And if they don't exist, I would suggest you start making sure that they do exist from now on, because it is a legal requirement. I have talked forever about a functional democracy. I don't see that functional democracy too much of the time, most of the time, at school board meetings. I considered showing up tonight to make sure that you had the public part of the meeting, and then I decided I wasn't going to do that. I wasn't going to waste my time. I was just going to stand here tonight and ask you if those minutes exist for those public meetings. If so, I want them, and I'd like to see them for the last 6 months, maybe. After that, I might want to see more. And if they don't exist, I want to know that they are going to exist, because I want them from now on, if you don't have them, starting from tonight's meeting. It has to have a motion. It has to be more specific than what just saying you're dissolving into an executive session.
Can I answer your question?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we follow the same procedure. Every time we go into exec, we take, board members put up their hands. We take those names down. They're part of the minutes of this meeting as well at the beginning. So that's our, I think it's always been done that way. It's always been done correctly. That's.
It's not a matter of it's always been done.
Well,
the public part of the meeting is not the public start of this meeting. It is the public start of an executive
And the exec session is part of this meeting. It precedes it. So
Janet, they are in the minutes. They're in all the minutes I do.
The minutes, I was told, have to be, you're not at the pre-executive meeting.
yeah, but she's in charge of our minutes.
I mean,
But it's recorded and they give it to me.
She's our clerk.
they are supposed to be separate minutes. They are supposed to be available. That's what the lawyer told me. I will call back again and tell her what or the lawyer I get to speak to what I was told in my conversation last week, and I will tell her what I was just told. I was told specifically that when you sit, wherever you sit, for executive sessions, that you have to start with and have separate minutes for the public part of that meeting. They are not legally part of this public session. She did also say that many districts around the state, and I don't know, I didn't ask her what many because I don't care what's happening in other districts. I don't live there. I've been here for 52 years. I want to know that there are minutes from that 1 minute or 2 minute public session, and that they can be read and no one has to wait. That was another thing. I was told that the minutes for this meeting should be made available as a draft before they are voted to be approved on at the next public meeting. And
can we answer some of your questions? Because I think we understand what you're asking. And so if you'd give Ida and myself and maybe Dr. Rand a chance to answer, I'd appreciate it.
All
think we
right,
take your
so
meaning.
executive session is opened and adjourned separately than the public session, and it's been done that way for 13 years since I've been district clerk. Secondly, all the draft minutes are up on the board, usually about a week before the next public meeting, and then they become, the draft gets removed and they become official minutes once they're approved at the meeting.
Can I ask a question because I want to make sure that I understand what's being said? Are you saying, and did you say before, that the minutes from the public session right before the executive session are a part of the minutes for this session, this public session?
No, they're in the minutes for this meeting and all the meetings before it.
They are technically, because this board holds them before the public session at 7:30. They are, just a minute please, Maria, they are a separate set of minutes, even if they are just one paragraph, whatever the motion is that you
We understand.
It's entitled executive session, and it shows a motion to go into executive session and to adjourn executive session.
I was
And
told
then the
that they have
public
to be
meeting-
separate.
They are.
Wait, can I just clarify?
Please.
Yeah.
Okay. We could start our public meeting, the first session of
I
our
know, I know.
Just let me finish, Janet. The first session of our public meeting, we have an open door. We sit and then we make a motion. And I understand it's sometimes lengthy, sometimes a sentence, to go into public session for a specific reason, and we would indicate something like this. Example, not tonight's meeting. We will be, I need a motion, well, actually, Maria would say, I need a motion to go into public session, to executive session, to discuss a personnel item in regard to a teacher. We wouldn't say the teacher's name, we wouldn't say the particulars there, and then there would be a motion, a vote, a second, and then we would adjourn into executive session. There are no minutes during executive session. Then at the end of our time in executive session, we then again create a motion to go back into public meeting, and we could hold that portion in another room if we had to. But there are two portions, so it's a very brief public opening that goes into an exec session and then out of exec session into another public session.
I am not concerned
And I will be more than happy, I know we're past the 3 minutes, but I would be more than happy to sit down with you and show you the pieces of, and how we record those minutes.
That I would like to see. I am not concerned about where you hold the executive
understand
session
that.
meetings.
Janet,
I really
just
am. You can,
For the
yeah,
consideration of other people in the audience, perhaps someone else wants to speak. You've been up here a while, so do you want to wrap it up? Or?
which I'm concerned about.
We understand your concern, and you've made it clear. I'll be more than happy to sit with you, Janet, and show you exactly how we go through that.
Would be more interested in just reading the minutes, and if I have to read.
That's fine.
I've been told that they're part of the regular minutes, then I have to read.
We would
that.
be more than happy to meet with you and show you that, okay?
You don't have to show
Right.
me, I can find it.
I think it was just pieces that she wasn't,
Yeah, well.
wasn't helping to understand it, so.
Good evening. Tina Brya. I'm wearing the Booster Club hat tonight. So on behalf of the Booster Club, we are very happy to donate $10,000 towards the cost of putting in the new softball scoreboard at the field. This is actually the second scoreboard that we've helped with, and we look forward to doing this again in the future. So this is on behalf of the Booster Club. Liz Anderson's the president this year. She's here with me tonight as well. And I'm going to give this to Victoria.
Thank you very much to both of you. I appreciate it. And thank you for clarifying that, Tina.
Good evening, everyone. Christine Bazil Hyde, 100 Red Spring Lane. I prepared a statement that I'd just like to read. First, I'd like to say this was an amazing meeting. I'm really encouraged by what I've seen today, especially from Dr. Doshner for the children. Maybe we can talk about financial health in the near future. We're seeing a lot of our young people get into a lot of problems with being able to pay bills and credit card debt, especially going into college. So maybe that's something that can be looked into in the near future. But I'm encouraged. I wanted to start with saying that I was very impressed with the presentation that was presented here today with all the valuable ideas that were shared this evening. As we move forward in the process of hiring a new superintendent for the Glencoe School District, first I'd like to express my gratitude to Dr. Maria Rihanna for her outstanding leadership over the past 10 years, and every educator who has contributed to the success of our students. As a parent in the community, I understand the importance of the hiring of a superintendent who will elevate the district to the next level. One issue that that's been concerning me is the lack of diversity within the hiring practices. While our student body is incredibly diverse, our teachers, employees, and administrators do not reflect that diversity. I could only imagine how the students feel when they don't see themselves in their educators. It must be very difficult for them. I firmly believe that the most qualified candidate should be selected for the superintendent position, but I've witnessed instances of nepotism where qualified black candidates have been overlooked in favor of individuals less experienced simply because they know someone. This is not practice that is best interest in our students. As we move forward to search for the next superintendent, I urge this board to keep in mind the needs of the minority students as well as your minority teachers. It is crucial that all individuals within our district, no matter the background, feel respected, valued, and protected. So I appreciate your time. The other question I do have is, I was looking on the school board website where you list where you live stream. You put all the live streams in. And I noticed that you only keep like a year up. And I looked at other districts, our fellow districts, Locust Valley, Roslyn. They have all their meetings up. In order for me to see a meeting, I'd have to FOIL it, ask for it. It's not up, it's not available. So I'm asking why that is. I don't know if it's too overwhelming to keep up, but if I want to go back to a meeting from 3 years ago because something came up 3 years ago and it's relevant today, I should be able to do so. So am I looking in the wrong place?
Okay, I don't have it in front of me, so I can't
Okay.
navigate it for you. I know that we changed platforms by which the live stream was done. So if you could give me a call, I can go through it and actually have it in front of me and
Okay.
walk you through it.
Because I know tonight
know
there's an
that-
issue, it's not being live streamed.
Yeah. This one?
Yes, correct. There is an issue.
Yeah, there is an issue tonight.
Yeah, if you go, I always look, so if you go on the website, it does say that there's an issue when they can't live stream it, but it is being recorded, then it'll be posted later on. So I don't,
And,
oh, in the
and there
morning.
is also a tab that has archives on the left.
Okay, so maybe
That-
I'm not
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't
It's
have it in
under the
front of
Board
me,
of Ed.
Ms.
Okay.
Side. So if you give the office a call, and
I
I'm
could
going to
give-
be in
I could
Albany,
give you a
but
call, maybe go walk me
Ida
through
a
it.
call,
I'd
I'm sure
appreciate
we'll
it.
be able to navigate it for you.
Okay. I
All right?
appreciate your consideration.
Yep.
Have a wonderful night.
Thank you, and thank you for your kind words.
Thank you. Okay, so, anybody else? Okay. Can I get a motion? Yeah, and Maureen. All in favor of going home? 7. It's unanimous. Thanks very much, everybody, and thanks to Glen Cove TV for recording our meeting.
Alexa?